hello and welcome. I'm Lloyd Grimshaw and I'm a member of the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church. You may know my church as the Exclusive Brethren, but that's not the name we use. From time to time, it's my job to step in and answer the questions that the media asks of our church. Some of them are reasonable, some are not, and some, frankly, border on conspiracy theory or even religious discrimination. And while we answer all the questions that we receive, we don't always get a fair run in the media or on social media. So to tell you what life is really like in the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, we're launching a podcast series, Behind the Plymouth Brethren, and this is episode 1. During this podcast, I'll be asking the men and women of the church some of the more common questions that we get from the media and on social media. Some of them may seem tough, and we'll touch on uncomfortable topics. But we think it's important to get the facts out and on the table. There are 2 things that we'll be covering off in this first episode. Firstly, we'll talk about what's become a hot topic, the involvement of many members of our church in the 2025 Australian federal election. At the outset, let me make a few points on that. The Plymouth Brethren Christian Church is comprised of autonomous individual congregations rather than being one formal structure, and each of those has individual parishioners who choose to come together to worship. Some of them are recognised as elders, but there's no ordained clergy and no official positions and no formal hierarchy. What that means is that any individual in the church can reflect on their own experiences and views, but they don't speak on behalf of the church as a whole. Another point is that there's many people in our church who have strong political views, and many more participate in elections and vote these days compared to days gone by. But there's a big difference between being politically aware, interested and involved, and being part of the apparatus of any political party. Many of our members are the former, none are the latter. The second thing we'll be covering off in this first episode is the Hales family, many of whom themselves have some pretty strong views on politics and society in general. A lot's been said in the media and online about our church's most senior leader, Mr Bruce Hales. Much of it's either untrue or exaggerated. So for the first few episodes of this series, we'll be hearing from some of the people who know him best, his 4 sons, and I'll be asking them about their lives now and growing up. Gareth, Dean, Greg and Charles, thanks for being the first guests on what we hope will be an ongoing series featuring many other members of the church. So why don't we start with a few introductions. Gareth?
Thanks, Lloyd. I'm Gareth. I'm one of 6 children. I've got 2 older sisters, Jane and Karen, and 3 younger brothers who are with me on the podcast here today. I'm 47 years of age. I've been married for 27 years. I've got a wife and 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. I've got a few small businesses that I work in and do a bit for the community, a bit for charity, look after Dad and Mum. And just a regular knockabout dad who's trying to get a few wins on the board. Very passionate to talk to you, Lloyd, today, just to unpack the mystery about the Plymouth Brethren. We started about 200 years ago, started in Plymouth, hence the name Plymouth Brethren. Started by J&D, John Nelson Darby. And I think it's about 55,000 members in a bit over 16 countries, so we're pretty small on the global scale. We're pretty well mainstream Christianity. We go by the principles that are set out in the Bible. What makes us a little bit different from, say, the Anglicans or the Anglicans or the Catholics is the truth of separation. We don't eat or drink with those that don't partake of the Lord's Supper, so we regard that as communion or fellowship.
Thanks. Dean?
Yeah, thanks, Lloyd. 43 years of age, been married for 21 years to my wife, Nerily. A grateful father of 2 daughters, 19 and 6. Family's at the centre of my life, and I guess my days are filled with sitting on a few boards, few business investments that I'm involved in, taking care of my elderly parents and get involved in a bit of charitable work.
Yeah, I'm Greg. I'm 40 years old, been married for 15 years to my wife and have 2 children. I'm self-employed in the construction industry, so spend most of my days working in the business and spare time helping other small businesses around the country.
Thanks. Charles?
My name's Charles, 35 years of age, been married for about 12 years now, a wife and 3 children, a boy and 2 girls, 10, 7 and 4, keep me pretty busy. I'm the baby of the family, so the youngest of the 4 brothers here. I spent about 10 or 11 years in business with Gareth when we built up a business and sold it about 5 years ago. So the past 5 years I've been spending a lot more time with the family, less in business, and just try and do my bit in the community. I've got a couple of small shareholdings in smaller businesses and just try and sit on a few boards and try and help people out. And obviously spend a lot of time with mum and dad as they get older and do what I can to support.
Very good. Well, thanks for the introductions. Wanted to start off with asking what it was like for you growing up, Dean.
Yeah, my childhood was full of many experiences and connections, really shaped through family outings, church gatherings, meeting a lot of different and varied people that shaped my world. It was fun and rewarding, challenging at times, but certainly, a life that was interesting and filled with lasting memories.
Was being part of the Plymouth Brethren a big part of your childhood, Greg?
Yeah, well, obviously I attended church regularly, but really most of my childhood was made up of attending school and then after school activities, where from kindergarten to year 6, all my friends were non-members of the church. Played a lot of sport with them, and after school rode my bike, as all kids did, and went down to the park and played footy with the young blokes around from the community.
And what about schools? What school did you go to?
I went to Eastwood Public School, which is just a local government school down the road from kindergarten through to year 6. I think some of the brothers also went there. And then I went to One School Global from year 7 to year 12. Funny enough, my children still attend Eastwood Public School, so because I still live in the same area. And funny, I was there the other day and noticed one of the teachers, just one left, and is still there from when I was around. But yeah, most of my mates from those younger years were from outside the community. One of my best mates, an Indian from up the road, his parents still live there, funny enough. The other day I was with Henry and an unidentified flying object from our house went over there. It's not exactly the neighbour right door, it's like 3 or 4 doors back. Anyway, I took him around there, Henry, around to meet them, to ask if they could find this object on the roof or wherever it was. Yeah, it was really kind. He came to the front door. They're fairly old now, they're probably in their early 70s, late 60s, and I introduced them to Henry and they were laughing with him and explaining they knew me from back when I was his age.
And growing up, Gareth, did you have friends outside the church?
Yeah, I did, Lloyd. I had a lot of friends outside of the church. I grew up born and bred in Concord, 41 The Drive. Then moved up to, when I was about 5, to Beecroft. Spent about 5 years there. Then moved to Eastwood when I was about 10. Yeah, had a lot of friends around the neighbourhood. I was into skateboarding a bit, so I built this quarter pipe. And I had Mikey over the back and a few mates up around the corner. Tony Hawk was the goat at the time. So we used to try and do a few airs, but mostly it ended up with a bit of a face plant in the bushes. But no, we had a good time. I made some good connections at Marsden High School. I went there for 4 years. Highlight was probably 93. We won the Rugby Union Cup. We actually beat Malvina High. They're a pretty good team. They had a lot of big Pacific Islander boys. They were pretty hard to cut down, but we had a really good captain. He actually went on to represent Scotland. He ended up playing in France, I think, for Toulon. I actually caught up with him 3 or 4 years ago, had a good chat, good yarn about just the old days and what we've been doing for the last 30 years. But yeah, I've been in the construction industry, Lloyd, for sort of over 30 years, and as all my brothers would have, we've got a lot of connections with trades and sparkies and chippies and architects, designers. Every time we catch up, they understand us, we understand them. We have a good chat and yarn about anything and everything.
Have you met up with Mike out of interest since those days, the skateboarding?
No, I wouldn't have met Mike since I got married, probably.
I was telling a story before about that UFO, the object that flew over. I went there first and I knocked on the door and I met Mike's dad and he knew me straight away because he still lives there. Anyway, then he said, I'll introduce you to my grandson. Mike's got a son, he's probably mid-20s and he came out and I never knew he existed, and I shook his hand and laughed that his dad used to skateboard with my older brother. So it's funny how things go around.
Parents went to Vietnam War, I think the dad did, yeah, nice guy.
We often get asked as to whether marriages in the Plymouth Brethren are pre-arranged, and you've all said you're all married, all 4 of you, so how did you meet your wives?
Yeah, definitely not pre-arranged, Lloyd. I had a few short-lived romances in my early years. But I met Nerily, my wife, at Dubbo of all places, in year 10, where we did distance education, and had a bit of contact with her through year 11, year 12, and was in the same chemistry class, and the chemistry was good. We connected well. And then when I left school 5 years later, got married in 2004.
So when you're not working or at church, Greg, what keeps you occupied?
Yeah, well, a lot of times, obviously looking after the family, keeping the wife happy and looking after my elderly parents. Try and do a bit of fitness each day, whether that's strength training or just going for a walk or play the odd game of tennis. And I suppose on the weekends we tend to socialise with either family or friends. We might go around to their houses and have a meal, or they might come to our house. And I suppose in the summer time we sort of tend to get into a bit of swimming and fishing and out on boats.
There's a lot of curiosity in the media about Mr Bruce Hales, your dad. How would you describe him?
Yeah, Dad's always been there. He's been a good father. He's been almost a brother at times, been a friend, someone that you can call on when times are tough or you're experiencing challenges, to give you a fresh perspective. He has a great sense of humour, and no matter what the situation is, if he's ever got to put something right or he's offended someone, he's certainly someone that's been marked by humility. But yeah, he's been someone that has been there for the ups and downs and the in-betweens.
His kindness and compassion is off the charts, to be honest, and I think he's tried to teach us that, and you guys would know, but it doesn't matter who the individual is that he comes across, no matter what background, what circumstances they're found in, he seeks to understand their problems and to provide some solution. What would you...
Yeah, he's very kind, very caring. A lot of people don't understand him. There's a little bit of a mystery about him. But a lot of people would think that a church leader would be really aloof from the mainstream people, but he's not anything like that. He gets down to everyone's level, down to young people, middle-aged people, older people, caring for them, protecting them, setting them up. But if I was to describe my father, as Dean said, he's a good dad, a good friend, great personality, excellent sense of humour. But what attracts me to him is he doesn't really think anything of himself. He always takes low ground. I was a bit of a difficult boy to bring up, probably still am a bit difficult, trying to fix that up. But every time we'd have a bit of an argument, before I went to bed, he'd come into the room and say, "Sorry, Gareth, I just want to put that right, I want to apologise." And I'd always say, "No, Dad, sorry, it was my fault." But yeah, that's my earliest sort of childhood memories of him.
Yeah, I'd echo those thoughts. And on another note, I would describe him as firm but fair. So if you were in trouble, whether you're in the wrong, there might be some discipline and some correction. But if you're in the right, he'd be right there to defend you. And I got into a lot of trouble during my youth, but he was there to protect and care and defend.
I think it's interesting too, you spoke about how he connected with people no matter where they were from. It's not just within the community. I think that's good to get that out there. Think of the electrician that lives in the street, how much advice he's got about where to purchase property. And then even recently the physio that helped him with his knee, you know the physio, what has he said to you about Dad?
Yeah, I mean, he just said Dad's always there, caring for him, you know, giving him life advice, trying to give him some extra support, always giving him a tip to support him financially. But I think it's a good point, because not only Dad is a visionary and he's very much an entrepreneur, he's always there for the battler and the underdog, and giving them an opportunity and trying to lift them up and giving everybody an opportunity to grow and be the best version of themselves.
He's always stuck up for the underdog, hasn't he? And that's how we've come up a bit. Like he could, as you say, he was visionary, he was a leader, he always had purpose and direction and focus, but then he could talk to all walks of life, couldn't he?
And what about your mum? What's she like?
Yeah, Mum's a hard-working, efficient, diligent woman. She raised us both with care and discipline, got us to always do our homework, do our chores, learn good habits, and understood the value of responsibility and accountability. But I think at the same time, she balanced her role as an excellent mum. She's got a very dry sense of humour, so we definitely kept grounded, kept life real, and always with a laugh.
Yeah, she always had a laugh. She had an excellent sense of humour. I think she got that from her father, Grandpa Green, Athel Green. He was a pretty funny guy when he got going. But No, mum was a great mum. I often say to younger people, you only get one mum in your life, so look after her, protect her, support her. She had a bit of a stroke a few years ago, so we're just trying to help her. I happen to live next door, so made a meal for her 2 nights ago and go across there where I can, but no, great mum.
Yeah, it's interesting you say about making meals, because what sticks out in my mind is mum caring for elderly people and sick people. And remember time and time again, 6 p.m, me sitting in the car in the passenger seat holding a tray at dinner, and that'd be for 2 elderly people, or in case of one family nearby, that's, you know, a meal for 8 people. So she was always caring for others and always putting other people first.
And not just members from the community, yeah.
No.
She heard
Neighbours.
if a neighbour was sick or unwell or needed some support, she'd be always up for giving them a meal or giving them some sort of support or some cooking to help them out.
Yeah, I would say she's highly intelligent as well. I think the conversations and the humour that we've enjoyed over the years about topics all over the world, from varying different ideas and topics, but yeah, highly intelligent, awesome humour. And she enjoys her own little hobbies too. She used to love doing sewing, if you remember, back in the day. Still loves to do sewing. Enjoys architecture and interior design. She did a lot of work on designing their houses and then often reviewing plans and things for others if people wanted advice. But always, I guess if there's one thing you'd say, and it kind of links with what Greg said, you just can never stop her doing things for others. And not that you'd try to, but even when she was unwell or too tired or had just got back from overseas or had 6 kids at home, she'd still be trying to do something for the neighbours or something for the sick person. So yeah, it's pretty awesome quality.
They've just done, I was just going to say, they've just done 50 years together. We had their anniversary celebration up at your house, Greg. It was a good time, but mum's been an excellent support for dad for over 50 years, and likewise dad for mum, and they've been just good role models, brought us up on good morals, good values, friendship, love, kindness, compassion. Go on, Dean.
That's good, and very unselfish. I'm just thinking about our childhood experiences and holidays. They were always challenging and interesting, weren't they? Mum would always make sure she was taking us out to many and varied places to keep it interesting and engaging.
And now the interest in the grandkids, your kids are older than mine, but the interest they take in every single grandkid, rewarding them, giving them life advice, even helping us how to bring them up, teach them things. It's quite incredible to watch, yeah?
It's good.
Well, you're all involved in running businesses. So how do you manage the juggle? Managing a business, doing the dad jobs and all the other responsibilities you have?
I think all our families would acknowledge and say that we haven't always done a great job in managing family and work-life balance. Speaking for oneself, I think families at times has come second or maybe even third priority due to trying to get a business up and running and get ahead. I was reading a book to my 6-year-old daughter the other day, and my 19-year-old said, "Dad, you never did that with me when I was 6. So I guess we reflect back on all the mistakes we've made and hope that we learn from those mistakes going forward."
I would say COVID probably helped. At a similar time when COVID came, we also sold our business, but probably for the first 10 years of my marriage, family definitely came second or third, but I think COVID actually helped everyone, not only in our community, to spend more time at home and realise that it's not just all about business.
Yeah, I started a few businesses, some which failed, but doing 15-hour, 16-hour days and then working on the weekends was very common, from a period of when I left school at 17 till probably 28, 29. So, but thankfully, businesses has turned around and I can spend more time at home and looking after the family.
A common theme in all your answers has been your dedication, your commitment and a strong sense of belief. Apart from your strong religious beliefs, what else drives you?
I think I would say setting goals and achieving them. And what I mean by that, it's not just necessarily a goal for the year or a goal for a period of time. It's a goal every day to seek to have a good day, to do things for others, and to achieve that at the end of the day, I think is a winning feeling. I think the other thing that drives us, and it's probably come down from the parents and our church in general, is helping others and hoping to elevate their circumstances. I think we get a kick, if you want to call it, or a reward out of helping others that may not be as fortunate as we are to elevate someone else's circumstances. I think's an awesome opportunity that we get.
You're right, Charles. I mean, everyone that's ever worked with me, even now, and this is not people in the church, it's outside the church, I sit down with them and say, look, what's your 3-year plan? you're married, kids, where do you want to be in 12 months, 2 years, 3 years? What are your financial goals? What are your moral goals? What are your physical goals? It's actually incredible. They often come back with a one-page sheet. And I just had a guy yesterday, nice guy, project manager from Melbourne. He said, thank you so much for this bonus you gave me. He said, it's life-changing for me and my wife. So that actually pumps me up and inspires me to do more for others. Yeah. Sorry, Greg, you're gonna...
No, I was just going to say that mentoring others, having started a business at the age of 21, it's awesome to mentor other young business entrepreneurs, and that really drives me to try and get their businesses up and running, because I know how tough it was to, become somewhat successful.
And I think another point on that is probably stemmed back from our grandfather, John Stephen Hales, who was brought up in the Depression. Father would always share stories with us as we grew up, and I guess ingrained in us from early on the need for hard work and frugality and getting ahead and paying down our mortgages. So that was always a big goal in our lives, to get our mortgage paid off. So I personally got my mortgage paid off a couple of years when I hit 40, but that's something we try and educate our young people as they get into the working environment, to set those goals, to be able to get into the real estate market, get married, raise a family, and hopefully get out of debt by the time they're 40 or sooner.
His dad came up pretty tough, actually. Remember the first fight he got in at school? They called him Patchy Pants, because Grandma made him wear his old grandpa's pants, his old shoes or something that were too big. But no, he came up tough, and you used to talk about paying off houses, Dean. I didn't pay mine off till I was 40 years of age. I started at 17 and then hit 20. I had to take over the business because the cousins moved on to another business. And then we had a bit of a tough run, like when the GFC came in 07, 08, we lost some money, we lost some jobs, and then 2010 I started Unispace with Charles. We entered the American market, but that was pretty tough, and 2 years in, we lost a lot of money, but we had to trade ourselves out of that. And finally, probably 5-7 years after that, we cracked it and started to do well, but in one sense we weren't really born with a silver spoon in our mouths. We had to actually work hard for what we got. But we don't regard ourselves as successful. I just say any wins we had was from good collaboration with other smart people. And
a bit of good luck.
Bit of good luck, and you were good at taking us to seminars, Dean. Remember Jim Collins, Good to Great? Remember writing down a few notes out of that.
And the E-Myth.
The E-Myth, that's right.
Do you follow current affairs and news? Where do you get your news from?
Talk to Greg about that one.
I'm a bit of a news tragic and sport tragic, so I get my news from all around the world, really. From CNN to Fox, obviously Sky News Australia, Channel 7, Channel 9, and various streaming services.
Yeah, I use news.com.au, the app. I'd be lucky to do 5-7 minutes a day. I'm bad at it, and I read the newspaper for about 2 minutes while I wait for the coffee, and then I learn everything from when I catch up with Greg about what's going on.
Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about the economy, but just what's happening on in the world. Like, I was fascinated that Trump managed to get a meeting with Putin in Alaska. I know it doesn't look like a lot came out of it. I bet you there will be a lot that comes out of it. Then I was fascinated that Zelensky got to come across and meet Trump with, the NATO, like Italy, France, Germany, UK. It was just excellent to see Zelensky actually wearing a suit, getting on with Trump. Yeah. But I think some really, really good things will come out of that, Lloyd. I'm pretty passionate about that.
Yeah, and hopefully the war ends soon.
Correct, yeah.
So I guess on that note, as a community, we are very passionate about hope and prosperity and a future for not only all Australians, but the whole globe.
Definitely.
Well, sometimes the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church is in the news, and more specifically, sometimes your family's in the news. What's it feel like to be kind of the focus of media attention?
It's not real nice, Lloyd. First off, it feels like a bit of a kick in the guts, but to be honest, after a bit, you sort of just get used to it, and I shouldn't say hardened by it, but you come to expect it. But what I feel bad is the actual community in the church. They're just salt of the earth people. They're actually simple people, and they don't really deserve that sort of negative publicity. So I actually feel more sorry for the average dads and mums out there that can't really understand what all this press is about. But go on, Charles.
I was going to say, it's been most of my adult life, or even the back end of my childhood. So over the years, probably become a bit numb to it. But I feel the same way as Gareth. It would be nice if the other side of the story could be told, and I guess that's why we're here today, to kickstart hopefully a few more members of the PBCC are happy to get out there and tell a different side of the story that hasn't been told.
Yeah, echo those comments from, the last 2 decades of employing people from all walks of life, not just amongst the Plymouth Brethren. Most of our employees are from the wider community. And they often talk about, after they join the organisation, that what they find out about who we are as people is polar opposite to what they've read in the media. So unfortunately it's been 2 decades of negativity, and a bit of positivity moving forward would be a good, refreshing change.
Agree.
Yeah, one of our customers spoke to my general manager and just said, boy, your boss is getting the hammering at the moment. Just can't believe why they keep going after them. So it was good to hear that from someone that knows us from outside the community.
I always get a few calls and some of the guys go, what the H are you doing on the front page of the paper? And I go, look mate, wrong place, wrong time.
You always get texts from the old employees at Unispace, yeah?
Yeah.
They always text us when an article comes out, hang in there, we got your back, you're all good. It's like, yeah, we're good. It's just another one.
Well, more recently, the church was in the headlines because a lot of parishioners volunteered for an election campaign. Are there any initial comments you want to say about that issue, Dean?
Yeah, I think the church doesn't campaign nor support any political parties or coordinate any volunteer efforts at all. And I think that's important to be clarified. Whilst the media has branded the church being a coordinator of political activities, it certainly hasn't been. But what I can tell you, I myself visited a number of polling booths across Sydney during that election campaign, and I did run into a number of members of our church out there participating in the democratic process, and they were very passionate. And as I said earlier, I think there's a real desire there for change and a hope and a prosperity for the future of all Australians.
So did you all volunteer or?
I jumped in for a bit, Lloyd. It was actually nothing to do with the church. It was just really concerned businessmen as business owners and moving in business circles, not just in the community, but a lot of guys outside the community. They were just really concerned about Australia, really concerned about the state of the economy, cost of living going up, the rising crime. And then there's so much social unrest globally. Look at the issue with Russia and Ukraine and obviously the Middle East. But we honestly felt that Australia deserved a better, stronger, braver leader that can actually working with the US, that's our strongest ally, and then working with the UK, obviously the whole AUKUS defence policy is important, but then also working with NATO, France, Germany, Italy, like-minded, smart countries, and that's kind of why we got involved.
The media commentary suggests that it's against our religion to vote. Do you have a comment on that, Greg?
Yeah, well, traditionally we wouldn't have voted or haven't voted. I can't speak for others, but I think times have changed a little bit, and it's really up to personal beliefs as to whether you vote or not, and I'm sure some did and some didn't.
We've often exercised the right in this country for conscientious objectives. We've used that right, but as Greg has said, it's not a test of fellowship to vote or not to vote, and it's left up to the individuals.
And to be fair, it's not checked on, or I'm 35 years of age, I've never been asked by you guys, by anybody within the church, whether I voted or whether I haven't voted.
It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
Is it true that the church had an arrangement with Peter Dutton's office or the Liberal Party for the last federal election?
No, that the church had no arrangement whatsoever with the Liberal Party or with Peter Dutton or with any other party for that matter. The church as a group or as the PBCC don't connect on with any political party whatsoever. So if individuals within the church choose to back a party or get engaged in the democratic process, as Dean said, then fine, no issues.
So you're saying there's no coordination from the church's point of view with all our parishioners to encourage them to get involved with a particular political party? Or
Absolutely
not at all.
I think an important point to note, Lloyd, is that given we collaborate and connect on a regular basis with a lot of business owners that belong to the church across Australia, we have a lot of business seminars and training programs and board advisory roles that we all get involved in. So there's a lot of communication and collaboration and discussion around the broader issues that are facing the economy in Australia at large.
So, why was there so many volunteers this last election from the church?
I think as a result of positive activity of people trying to do their bit.
Yeah, I'd also say, and I don't know the numbers of how many small entrepreneurial businesses there are within our church, but all of them as business owners are pretty educated in regards to politics and what impact the economy could have on their business. So
As a country wasn't in a good place. I mean, any business leader or any guy that knew anything about business, they were all saying the same thing.
yeah, I went to the local church and I did a bit of volunteering there, and I bumped into the cafe owner where I go. Me and him had a chat and he was there doing his bit. I bumped into neighbours. So I think, it's a democratic process, and a lot of people believe one way, a lot of people follow the other way. So
There were some claims that members of the church were threatening or intimidating for other volunteers or voters out there in the booths. Is that what you saw when you were out there?
No, I definitely didn't see that. I'm not aware of anything, and I'm sure if anybody acted in a bad way, either from our church or not from our church, I'm sure they were followed up and dealt with accordingly.
I wasn't aware of anything at all. I saw everyone was pretty happy and having a good time and just supporting whatever they were supporting, yeah.
Is there any other comments you guys would like to make?
Not at this time.
Not that I can think of.
Hopefully our Prime Minister can get some more calls with Mr Trump so that we can re-establish some better links with global powers.
Yeah, that would be helpful, Charles, absolutely. I'd second that.
Well, thanks very much, guys, for your time today. And thanks to everyone that's joined in to listen today. We look forward to your company for the next episode.